Well, welcome back, everyone. Dr. Josh here with Digital Hammurabi, and we are back for lesson 10 of our Learn to Read Biblical Hebrew teaching series. So, if you're just joining us, the purpose of this series is for those of you that are either taking Biblical Hebrew in school, or if you're just interested in learning it on your own. This series is designed to start from the basics, beginning in lesson 1, teaching the alphabet and nouns and verbs and how the grammar and syntax all go together. And so that's what we're doing. That's what we're doing here today. We try to do this every Sunday around noon, and so we teach some grammar. Do the actual teaching in the first half, so maybe for about 45 minutes, and then we read actually Hebrew text, as you'll see up on the screen here in a minute. We read Hebrew text and explain the grammar and syntax. So it works sort of on both levels. If you are, if you're somebody that's been studying this for a little bit, maybe a semester or two, it's great for you because it's a little refresher for the grammar, but then you get to go through some actual Hebrew text. And if you haven't studied at all and you're just going through lesson by lesson, the second half where we're actually reading through the text might be a little advanced, but it's good exposure. So hopefully this will work out well. If you have a question as I go through, I've got the side chat open here. So tag me at Digital Hammurabi, and I will try to answer your question. So let me share the screen, and we will get going. Oh, okay. So we are using Chunleong Seo's. There it is. Chunleong Seo's book. Grammar for Biblical Hebrew. Excuse me. I don't put it up on the screen because I'm not sure about copyright issues, and I certainly don't want to take anything away from him. I would highly recommend, if you're doing this series and you're serious about it, go ahead and pick up the book. It's well worth it. But today we are in lesson 9, and we are talking about pronouns. So, pronouns in English are, I, you, he, she, it. And of course, Hebrew has these as well, and they're slightly different. But I'd like to go through them here because there are different. There's some aspects that we need to talk about when it comes to not only how the pronouns are formed. Sorry, I dropped my pen there. Not only how the pronouns are formed, but also how they're used in the grammar. So let's talk about the basic forms. Now, as I do in other parts of the grammar, I'm not going to go exhaustively through it. So there are going to be some forms that I'm not going to put up on the screen. And the rationale behind that is I don't want to overwhelm the student. I don't want to overwhelm you guys. So again, if you do have questions, please let me know. By the way, hi to everybody in the chat. It's great to have you guys here. All right, so let's get going. So if we set this up, the singular forms, you already know 2 of them. If you've been following along, you have our cool little thing that we memorized. Me is who is he, and he is she. We'll talk about that here in a second. But if we do them this way, ani is I, and I think he sets them up. Yeah, he does it. He does it the other way. So I mentioned this before, but he most of the time in grammars, biblical Hebrew grammars, they teach them third person, which would be these guys. They teach third person first, and then second person, and then first person, and that's fine. I did it this way. I teach it this way because this is how I learned it when I was learning modern Hebrew, and I've found it effective. So don't let that throw you if you pick up the book and you go, man, he teaches the third person first, and Josh teaches the first person. Yeah. Okay. So ani is I. Um, ata is you, masculine singular. I'm going to run out of room here, aren't I? I tell you what, let me do this. So ani, ata, at, which is interesting, right? When we think about, if this is masculine and this is feminine, and we look at this ending, and we say, whoa, that's awful. And we go, isn't that supposed to be feminine? There are a couple of places in biblical Hebrew where it looks like something that is masculine is feminine and the other way around. These are things, by the way, just to get this out of the way, the things that we're learning today, this is one of the places where you're just going to have to do some rote memorization. Sorry, I try not to, give those types of things too often, but I really do think when it comes to these paradigms, you kind of need to memorize these. So ani, ata, at, and then, so this is first person, second person, then third, masculine would be who, and feminine would be he. So ani, ata, at, hu, he. Ani, ata, at, hu, he. Ani, ata, at, hu, he. I can't tell you how many times I did that. I remember I used to, when I was going to seminary, I worked in security in the evenings, at night, actually. It's really silly what I did. Every night that I worked security, I worked from 11:30 to 7 or 11 to 7 or something like that, PM to AM. And then I for some reason, the way that I had it set up, every morning I'd get off at 7 and I had to be in class at 8 and I'd have school all day. I don't know why I did it, because I'm stupid, I suppose, is what it boils down to. But as I would walk along the campus doing my rounds, every step I would go, ani, ata, at, hu, he, anachnu, atem, aten, hem, hen, or shamarti, shamarta, shamar, shamar, shamara. Anyway, so you kind of have to, any language that you learn, I suspect you have to do something similar to that. So ani is I, ata, you, masculine singular, at, you, feminine singular, who is he, and he is she. So if you remember, me is who. So the word me in Hebrew is the word who in English. So me is who is he, and he is she. Me is who is he is she. So now you can see how that plays in. So these are the singular pronouns. So ani, ata, at, hu, he. Again, there are some other forms that I'm not going to put in. There's some like alternate forms. We can discuss them as they come up. The plurals. Anachnu. Atem. Aten. I guess I'll divide these like I did before. And then ham and hen. And actually, this is probably more modern. I will put it here. You'll see in the Hebrew Bible Hena. Make that doggish a little better. That's not better. This is really hard to do on a vertical screen. Hena. So this is first plural, we, and then this is second plural. Second masculine plural, second feminine plural, third masculine plural, third feminine plural. So anachnu, atem, aten, hem, hen, or hena. So these are the standard pronouns, personal pronouns. So if I wanted to say, if the word holech is to go, and it's the participial form, so going. If I wanted to say I am going, I would say ani holech, I am going. We could also say ata holech, you, masculine singular, are going. Yeah. So that's one of the ways that these are used. In fact, I'll talk about those real quick. So that's the first way it's used as a subject of a verbalist clause. So ani shomer, I am guarding. Ani rotse, I want. So ani is I, and rotse is to want, wanting. So ani rotse, I want. What else here? Oh, he's got, so ani Adonai, I am the Lord. Hu Hanavi, he is the prophet. Yeah. So when we talk about a verbalist clause, what we mean is, so here, ani holech. So this is from Hey Lamed Kaf, to go. So I am going. This is that cal active participle form here. So the OA, as we learned last week. So ani holech, I am going. However, if you said he, let's do it this way. You could say hu shomer, he is guarding. However, if you said he, you wouldn't say he shomer, you would say he shomeret. You'd make it a feminine singular. So it's just like the adjective in the same way, that you would say David shomer, so David is guarding. You would say Yael, feminine name, shomeret. You make them match. In the same way, you would say, I always mix up the vowels on these. Anachnu, you would say shomrim, right? Or if it were a feminine we, so this is we, then you would say shomerot, but you make it plural. So this is a plural, this is a plural. So they match in this construction. Okay. So that's one of the ways that these pronouns can be used. Independent pronouns can be used for emphasis. We'll get to that. I'm not going to go through that too much here. Yeah, as a matter of fact, these other sort of, you can see them in lesson 9, these other nuanced forms. This is sufficient for now. If you can just memorize, go back this week and memorize ani, ata, at, hu, he, anachnu, atem, aten, hem, hen, or hena. Ani, ata, at, hu, he, anachnu, atem, aten, hem, hen. Those endings, by the way, the E on ani, the ta on ata, at, and in other words, a lot of these endings are going to show up again. So the anach new ending will show up, and there'll be consistency throughout these paradigms. You'll hear, first common plural will often end in nu. So anachnu, if you memorize anachnu, it'll help you when you get to shamarnu. So we guarded. Anachnu shamarnu. Atem shimartem. Aten shimarten. Yeah, the endings are consistent, relatively speaking. So, okay. Ani ta'atu hi, anachnu atem aten him hen or hena. Memorize those. Okay. Pronouns can also show up on prepositions. So, just to kind of walk through this, melech is king. If we wanted to say the king, we'd say hamelech. And if we wanted to say to or for the king, that hey would be demolished by that very powerful lamed, right? Lamelech. So this is a preposition to or for something. Well, what you can do is you can get rid of that noun, melech, and instead of saying to the king, you can say to him. And the way that you write him is O, lo, to him. And that's a really ugly vav there. But let me see if I can make it a little better. Lo. Yeah, it's a little better. So that means to him. So this O ending here is him. It'll be clear when I write this. So if you wanted to say to me, you could write, you're trying to combine la plus sort of ani. Not really, but sort of. You'll get where I'm going here in a second. So la plus ani would be li, right? So ani, li, you see the connection there. So this means to me. So the paradigm for this is li, lecha, lach. Can I fit it? Lo. Oh, I can't. Okay, hold on. This is so terrible. Li, lecha, lach. Good grief. This is so hard to do vertically. Lo, la, li, lecha, lach, lo, la. So this is in the same way, first singular, second masculine singular, second feminine singular, third masculine singular, third feminine singular. So this is, the top one here is to me. Oh, I can do this. Hold on. So to me, yeah, you can see that. So to me, to you, masculine singular, to you, feminine singular, to him, masculine singular, to her, feminine singular, li, lecha, lach, lo, la. Then the plurals, lanu. Just want to make sure I got the vowels right. Yep, lanu. Got to be careful. I'll run out of space here. Lachem. Lachen. lahem. I think that's a sigil. Yep. And, oh, can I get it? La hen. Ah, lahen. That's a sigil there at the bottom. So this is first plural, second masculine plural, second feminine plural, third masculine plural, third feminine plural. So to us, lanu, to you, masculine plural, to you, feminine plural, to them, and to them, masculine plural, and to them, feminine plural. I don't know if I said all that right. I think I did. But li, lecha, lach, lo, la, lanu, lachem, lachen, lahem, lahen. So these are incredibly common. You'll see them. I feel like I see them. Well, here, look up on the screen. Here's la right here. Vayomer la Yaakov. And Jacob said to her, right? To her. Yeah, they show up quite a bit. So li lecha lach lo la, lanu lachem lachen, lahem lahen. And the same show up on the preposition ba. So I won't write them all out, but it would be bcha, bach, right? Bo, ba. Said I wouldn't write them out, and so on. So bi, bcha, bach, bo, ba, and so on. So, but if you can get these pronouns, the personal pronouns, and then these object suffixes, these endings that show up, I mean, you can already see the consistency, e and ani. But then if you can memorize the different endings for both the there's supposed to be arrows. I don't know if that's clear. The endings for the personal pronouns and then for the object suffixes, which is what these are, you'll have, if you can memorize ani, ata, at, hu, he, anachnu, atem, aten, hem, hen, and li, lecha, lach, lo, la, lanu, lachem, lachen, lahem, lahen. If you can memorize just those two, you will be very well prepared, I think, to go through, the verbal paradigms, at least in those verbal paradigms that use suffixes. It'll be really a lot easier. So I would just memorize. If nothing else in this chapter, memorize those two things. It'll be really useful. Okay. How are we doing on time? Good. Halfway. Okay. So we've seen this before, and I'll bet if we look on the screen, there's probably one close by. Yeah, go figure. There isn't one. Okay. Damn it. Okay. Anyway, you guys remember this guy? 8. If it's connected. This is the definite direct object marker, right? It tells you the next word is the direct. It's not only the direct object of the verb, it's the thing that the subject is acting upon. So Johnny hit the ball. The ball is the direct object. This thing is like a big arrow pointing to the ball in that sentence. And it says, the ball is the direct object. That's what et does. It's a definite direct object marker. And so that's one of the uses we're going to talk about here in this chapter. And I don't know why he doesn't start with this one, but there's another meaning behind this word et. And I haven't looked into the connection necessarily uh, to figure out exactly if this. But anyway, it can also mean with. So it can be like with someone or with something. It's the equivalent to the word I don't know if it's the equivalent, but it's there's another word im in Hebrew that means with. So et, normally when you see it, is going to be, if it's by itself, it's going to be that big arrow pointing to the direct object, the definite direct object. However, it can also mean with, and the places that you'll see it meaning with are when they have suffixes. Not always, but a lot. Okay, so you'll recognize very quickly. Yeah, there's the dogs. You'll recognize very quickly the endings and how consistent they are. So there we go. Looking familiar? Not coming out of a room, am I? Yeah, I always make the first one too big. So iti, itcha, itach, ito, ita. So li, lecha, lach, lo, la. You see the connection there? So iti, itcha, itach, ito, ita. And then, of course, we don't have to write these out, but itanu, itchem, itchen. Yeah. And then the only difference is the third plural you will get, instead of ithem, iten, you get, itam. And I don't even know if it occurs. Does he show it here? Doesn't show it attested. You would get itan for the feminine. But anyway, you can see the consistency in these endings, right? Li, lecha, lach, lo, la. Iti, itcha, itach, ito, ita, and so on. The same is true with the word im. Let me try to write it smaller. Oh, gosh. Yep. Imi, imcha, imach, imo, ima. Now I'm going to write one more, and you may find it familiar, and I'll stop. Imanu. Anybody ever heard Imanu? Like, I'm waiting for everybody to respond. Have you guys heard of Imanu? Have you ever heard of Imanu ale? Imanu ale. Where is this form? Yeah. Okay. So Imanu ale, if im means with, right? And we now know that this new ending, right? Anachnu, lanu, we, or to us, right? This is a first common plural, we or us. And then ale means God. So Immanuel is God with us. So if you've heard Emmanuel, Immanuel, God is with us or God with us. This is what, this is what it is. It's imanu, with us, ale. So anyway, just think that's a little interesting tidbit. It's neat when you can kind of go, oh, I get that. So imanu is with us, and then Immanuel, God with us. Okay. So there's another type of ending for prepositions. We'll go through it very quickly. Um, I don't know how deep I want to go into this. So the word min, from or out of something, has a different form, but in these forms that we're getting ready to go through, I mean, it's good to memorize them, obviously, but you can probably piece them together if you've memorized the other forms that we've talked about. So li, la, cha, lach, lo, la. Okay. So, yes. Mimeni. And actually, there's a dagesh in that. Mimeni, from me. And then I hate how they're out of order. They're not out of order. They're in order, but mimcha. And mimich. And then the weird one. I mean, these are kind of weird as they are. Sorry. Mimenu, which I guess isn't too weird if you've memorized who, he. So mimenu, who. But this is the third masculine singular, which is a little strange. But oh, sorry, I didn't even see the question. I'll get that in just a second. Higher evolutionary. Sorry about that. Mimenu and mimena. Okay, mimena. Okay, so these are, just to point it out, ani or li, lecha, lach, sort of, lo. It's a little different. It's like who, la, li, lecha, lach, lo, la. So I mean, in other words, these endings, and then you can look at the front and go, okay, well, that's a mem. So maybe it's from min. So from me, from you, and so on. This is kind of how you do these. Right? Okay. Let me look at this question here. So, Digital Hammurabi, are there major differences between the classical and modern languages? Would these directly translate into spoken Hebrew? There are differences. There are a lot of works. That's a good question. There are several works just talking about the development of biblical Hebrew as you see it going through, classical Hebrew, late biblical Hebrew. You know, there are different stages that you can see the language developing, and of course, there are differences when you get to Qumran and the Dead Sea Scrolls. Okay, you said specifically you're asking about prepositional forms. You'll see, and I don't know that I could lay them all out right now, but you will see that there are older forms that tend to show up in the Hebrew Bible, but I don't know that I see them I don't know if I remember seeing them in modern Hebrew. It'd be better to ask a modern Hebrew speaker that particular question. But like, you don't memorize Hana, you memorize Hain. At least I did, because that's sort of an older form, an archaized form, if I'm remembering that correctly, and I think that I am. So the other, like Anochi, I think that's with comments. Yeah. Okay. So anochi is a longer form, like an older form of. That's a terrible Aleph. Ani. You'll see that in older texts or in poetry. In the Hebrew Bible, a bit, not exclusively, but those are the types of distinctions. So, is specifically, I would say you tend to see a more standardized form when you get into later Hebrew. Okay, last ones that I want to go through are these are also very common, and they look like plural endings on prepositions. So you would expect, for example, I'm going to go to L means to, right, or towards something. You would expect LE, right, to me, but you don't get that. What you get is a lie, a lie. In fact, if you look right here, L and al are the two prepositions. There are others, I think. Yeah. So ad and tachat, and you'll see that. But notice you've got the kaf ending here. So li, lecha, lach. So the kaf is there in that form for the second feminine singular, but you get this aich instead of ach ending. It looks like a plural ending. And that's just where are they? Yeah, that's just, let me write it a little bit smaller. They look a little funny, relatively speaking. Elecha. Accents there, yes. Where are you? Yep, there you are. And then I think it's Sarah, yes. Elaich. So here you've got alaich, elaich. Notice the similarity. Aich, aich. I keep going to the wrong page with my eye. Elaich, right? And then, yeah. Elav. Trying to see if I've got one up here with av. It's okay. I'm sure we'll see one. Elav. So again, if you remember, li lecha lach lo. Elav. So it's that O ending, even though it's not pronounced O. Okay. So li lecha lach lo la, but Eli, Eli, Elech, Eli, Elecha, Elaich, Elav, and then Eleha. Where are you? Yeah. Eleha. These are, the singulars are the ones that I think, well, I think we see them the most. I guess it's good to know them all. I'll just go through them real quick. Ele nu, but again, if you memorize li lecha lach lo la, you'd these endings are all very close, right? They stay consistent. Li lecha lach lo la, lanu, nu, elenu, lechem lechen. So make sure I get the vowels right on these. Yes. Okay. Le chem. Yep. Oh, I forgot to put the yud. Sorry. alechem, alechen, and then alehem. And I think he's saying that it's, oh no, yeah. So alehem and alehen. Just because I've run out of room here. Sorry, that's so terrible. Alehem and alehen. So just go with me here. Li, lecha, lach, lo, la, lanu, lachem, lachen, lahem, lahen. So the endings are very, very similar. So elai, elecha, elaich, elav, eleha, elenu, elechem, alechen, alehem, alehen. And, the same thing is true for al. So you see alaich instead of elaich. This is the preposition al instead of el. Okay. I know this is probably a lot from like a memorization standpoint, but it's, again, so much of this is just becoming familiar with it. Okay. We talked about the marker of the direct object. I don't think we need to talk about that anymore, except to say, if you see it, or et as a direct object marker, it's marking a definite direct object, which means we would say in English the word the before it, or it's marking a specific noun. So there are three ways that he talks about a word being definite. The first is having the hey pathak doubling dot. So ha-melech, we would say the. So this is definite. So we would say et ha-melech. You wouldn't say et melech, because this is a king, not the king. So you wouldn't use et before it, because et is saying it has to be the king. It has to be a definite word, not indefinite. If that makes sense, I hope it does. If it doesn't, please ask, and I'll go over it again. So you can use the hey path, saying the word the, if you have, let's make it something we know. David, if it's like a proper noun, a personal name, that is definite because it's talking about a particular person named David. And there's a third one. Oh, right. When you have one of these object suffixes on a noun. So melech is king. However, if we wanted to say my king, melech goes to mal ki. And you might recognize Malki from Malki Tzedek, Melchizedek, my king, of righteousness. So, Malki. So this would be considered definite because of this object suffix. It's saying my king, a specific king, my king, not just a king. So if it has the word the in front of it, the hey pathak doubling dot, if it's a proper noun like David or Moses or whatever, and then if it has an object suffix on the noun, they consider those three things definite. So they would get that definite direct object marker. Okay, very, very quickly, because I'm out of time. That definite direct object marker can take suffixes of its own. So as we said with to the king or to a king, whatever, to the king, you could say to him. So et hamelech. If you wanted to say, this is the king as the object, like he spoke to the king, you could say he spoke. No, sorry, that doesn't work. He hit the king. You could say he hit him. And if you wanted to do that, you could put that object suffix on the word et directly instead of saying, and it becomes oto. And actually, I'll keep that off for a second. Oto. So this is et, the definite direct object marker, et, plus li lechalach, lo, o, this third masculine singular object suffix. So this is him. Definite direct object marker plus third masculine singular object suffix, him. So if you wanted to say, like, ani is a pronoun that's the subject. This is I, right? If you wanted to say me, like he hit me, you would say o-t, o-t. Notice e, o-t. So the forms here are ot, and you can probably guess them. Otcha, oops. Otach, oto, ota. I don't know why I keep putting that in there. Otanu, and then it goes to a little different. You get etchem and etchen. So the ot goes to et. But anyway, the we don't have to go through all that. The endings, you'll recognize the endings. In fact, we're going to see a bunch of them here in a few minutes when we do the translation. But just being familiar with this, so you can attach an object suffix to that definite direct object marker et, and get this, this object pronoun. Okay, the last thing we're going to talk about is that word hine. I'm just going to talk about it very briefly. In fact, I'm just going to read to you what he says about hine. Hine is that word that we always translate like behold, right? What he says here, there is no equivalent of hine in English. It has traditionally been translated as lo or behold, but hine is not really a demonstrative particle. Rather, it indicates the presence of someone or something, or the immediacy of an event or situation. It is very often used to introduce the circumstances of something that is happening. So, you'll get actually there's a good discussion of this in why am I blanking on his name? He's got one of the standard grammars. That's so terrible. I'll have to remember the name and get it back. Anyway, but when you see hine, it's drawing attention to something and saying something's about to happen, or there's some sense of immediacy, and you'll see it here in a minute in our translation. Okay. Well, we went a little bit over, but I do want to get into the actual reading. Again, if you have questions about anything that I just talked about, please put it in the side chat. I'll try to go back side chat, and I'll try to go back and read it. But where we are is we are back in our Jack and the Beanstalk story. These come from, and let me make the screen big again. These come from this First Hebrew Primer. And I think I've put the link in the video description, so you can pick that book up as well. Again, I would highly recommend it. If for nothing else, but these stories. So what they've done is the exercises, they put stories in biblical Hebrew form so that you can read stories that you know and are familiar with, like Jack and the Beanstalk, or the three pigs, or the three bears, or what is it? It's Goldilocks and the Three Bears, or Little Red Riding Hood. They put these stories that you know very well into biblical Hebrew format so that you can see how it's used in a more understandable way. So right here, we're reading through essentially the equivalent of Jack and the Beanstalk. And Jack has gone and, sold the cow for the beans. And the beans have grown into this tall tree, and he has climbed it. He's at the gates, of this huge house, and he sees this woman that's bigger than any woman he's ever seen before. And so now we get their interaction. Vayomer la Yaakov, Shalom alaich isha tova, hat chuli latet li lechem, lechem lo ba el pi kol hayom. So Vayomer la, and he said la to her. So li lecha lach lo la. Already you can see how memorizing this is useful. And he said, cow, vav consecutive imperfect, third singular from aleph mem resh, and he said to her la. And who did that? Yaakov. So Yaakov is the subject. Jacob said to her, Shalom alaich, right? Shalom alaich. So peace be essentially upon you, feminine singular, second feminine singular. So alai, alecha, alaich, alav, aleha. So alaich, peace be upon you. Isha tova, and this is like a vocative form. Oh, good woman, right? So isha tova. Notice that tov, tova, tovim, tovot. Tova is in the second or in the feminine singular form with a to match isha. Oh, good woman. Hatchuli latet li lechem. So we look at this hey up front that has, normally when we see a hey up front, it's this hey pathak doubling dot, which is the definite article, right? But we don't see that here. What we see is a hey with a composite shava. And I don't know if we've learned this through the grammar, but we've seen it a bunch in the actual translations. This is setting up a question. So if they put, oops, why can't I just write correctly? If they put this, hey, with a composite shava up front on a sentence, it's getting ready to introduce a question. So you can basically go to the end and put a question mark. That is the ugliest question mark. Not that that's much better. But notice, here it is, right? Here's your question mark. Not that there's a question mark in biblical Hebrew, but they put it here for the ease of the reader. Okay. So tuchli is from yachal, which means to be able. Real quick, Malachi Walker, just before we leave the interrogative hey, he asks the question, does the interrogative hey ever show up with something other than the composite shava? I don't remember is the answer. I was going to say, I don't remember it showing up. I mean, I could look, but I don't know if we want to do that. But that's a good question. I think it's, I couldn't tell you definitively whether there's some other form, but I think most often it's going to show up with the composite shava. That's a good question. When we get to the verbal patterns, you'll see that first yuds will often take this. That's a really ugly vav, but I was just trying to extend it down. It'll extend down into a vav, and you get uchal, tuchal, tuchli, yuchal, tuchal. So here, this is tuchli. So the paradigm uchal, tuchal. And there's a reduction of the comments there here because you're putting the ending E on tuchli, yuchal, and again, feminine singular. Sorry, it's all running together. Tuchal. But here we're looking at second feminine singular, tuchli. Are you able? Are you able? Like, can you please? Yeah, sort of. Are you able? Latate. This is one of these kind of weird forms from, and I'm trying to remember how I walked through that. It doesn't matter. Latate is from natan, to give, right? So natan has two nuns, and the nuns tend to be very weak, so they take kind of weird forms. So latate is just the infinitive construct, the cal infinitive construct form of natan. So to give. Are you able to give li, to me? Li lechalach lula, lanu lachem lachen lahem lahen. Are you able to give to me lechem? And lechem is bread. Lechem lo ba. Now, if you remember your paradigm of the cow perfect of the middle week for bo, you get bati. Sorry. And I can't remember if there's a dog. I think there's a dog. I can't remember. Damn it. Anyway, yeah, I can't remember if there's a doggish there. Bati. Sorry. Bata. I think there is. I think there is. I'm going to guess that there is. Somebody wants to, you know what? I'm not going to look. Bati, bata doesn't matter. Bat. And then going to the third. Ba. And, you know what? I'm just going to look. Because I think it'll probably be right at the end in the paradigm chart. I don't want to mislead everybody. If you do get, you know, these grammars will often have a really nice set of charts in the back. Here's a second of. Yeah. It's giving me from Coom. Just want to make sure that because there's a. Yeah, it doesn't matter. But what I did want to say is, sorry, everyone. Just sort of. Yeah. Okay. So the point that I really don't even need to make it here because it's a masculine singular. Sorry, but anyway, one of the things that you'll notice is that the accent on the third feminine singular for the cow perfect is on the penultimate syllable. It's not on the end. It's not ba'a. It's ba'a, and that's important in these middle weeks because in the participle you get ba, ba'a, ba'im, and ba'ot, right? So this is masculine singular, feminine singular, masculine plural, feminine plural. However, if we just kind of break off, The cal perfect third feminine singular looks exactly the same, except the accent's here. So this one is ba'a, this one is ba'a. It's the only way you can really tell the difference. I mean, other than the context. So you'll see the Masoretes, they'll, in like your BHS, will put an accent mark on the penultimate syllable if it's a perfect. Anyway, I don't know why. I saw ba and decided to walk through that with you guys, and I have no idea why I did that. Sorry. Okay. Because see, ba is the same form in the cal perfect third masculine singular and the cal active participle. So we could say, like, bread is not coming to my mouth, but it's probably a perfect, right? Bread has not come in the past, like, has not. So I would say this is a cal perfect form instead of a cal active participle. Anyway, so bread has not come, cal active participle, or cal perfect third masculine singular from bo, and el pi kol hayom, to my mouth. So pe is mouth, and if you want to put the, from ani, li, you want to put the e for my ending on the, just like in all these, third hey, or words that end in hey, so often that hey will just drop off and you'll get p, my mouth. So bread has not come to my mouth, kol hayom, all the day, right? I haven't had any bread today. I haven't had anything to eat. Sorry. Let's make sure there are no questions here. Oh. So Toothless Bulldog 2.0 writes, I know Myth Vision podcast is a friend of Digital Hammurabi, so I just wanted to remind everyone that today is Derek's birthday, the owner of Myth Vision podcast, and today he's hosting a show. So happy birthday, Derek. Derek just had John Collins on his show. I'm incredibly jealous. It was really great to see. He talked about the Son of Man and Daniel. So I've actually asked Dr. Collins to come on to our channel and talk about. He wrote a book in 2019 about biblical values, ethics. And I'd like him to come on our channel and talk about that. So, but anyway, yeah, happy birthday, Derek. That's awesome. And I think Megan and I we just got an email from him yesterday, maybe, to come back on the show. So we're looking forward to that. I think she emailed him back. If not, Derek, I'm sorry. I will email you back. We are very excited about coming on. Okay. Happy birthday. Okay. So he says, can you give me something to eat? Can you give me some bread? And she responds, Ach ha'isha hagdola anata lo, sur mi beiti na'ar. So, I don't think he's getting anything to eat here. Ach, however, ach can be like indeed or however, just depends on the context. Ha'isha, the woman. Notice the hey pathak doubling dot. And notice, again, I know we go over this all the time, but you know me, repetition, repetition, repetition. If you wanted to say the king, you get hey pathak doubling dot. However, if you have the word isha and you try to put that, y'all know what's coming. Oh, man, what happened to that doggish? Where's that doubling dot? Oh, it's almost as if, let me try it again. It just rejects it, right? It rejects the doubling dot. That aleph, along with the other gutturals, will reject the doubling dot. And it makes sense why. Try to double a guttural sound, right? Um, you know, the sound between uh-oh, where you close off your throat, that glottal stop, try to double that. Uh-oh, right? It doesn't really work. Um, Ryan, right? It doesn't really work. So what we get instead, because it won't take that doggish, I'll try it one more time. Man, so unexpected. It didn't work. You're left with an open, unaccented syllable, and it's got a short vowel. And we know, as the great Hebrew scholars that we are, we know that you can't have an open, unaccented syllable that is short. So you get compensatory lengthening. It's compensating because it won't take a doggish. And notice you don't see it there. So you get this comets here. So that's why. That's a comets. Ha isha, because here, look, hey, pathak doubling dot. That one works because the gima will take it, but just not an olive. So you don't need the compensatory lengthening here. So ha isha, hagdola. So these are, so gadol, gadola, gadolim, gadolot. Gadol means big, large, can mean tall, can mean great. So gadol, gadola, gadolim, gadolot. So ha'isha, hagdola. This is a feminine singular adjective, and it's going with isha. Notice that they're both definite, so this is an attributive adjective. So the woman, the big one, right? So, however, the large or the big, whatever, woman, anta lo. This is from ana, to answer. Yeah, definitely. It could mean huge. Just depends on the context, but it's big sort of at its base. So ana is to answer someone. If you put this in the cow perfect, you get aniti, Anita. Oops. Come on, Josh. Anit. I'm running out of room. Na. And the form that we see here, Anita. Okay. So, sorry, I was just looking at the Arabic. The script is so small. Yeah, I can't read it. Kif halaka. Sorry. Yeah, it's too small. Not that I'm really good at reading Arabic. I used to be able to read some. It was 10 years ago. Anyway, it was fun to go to Syria and speak modern standard Arabic to people that really basically only spoke the Syrian dialect of Arabic, and then it was funny. Anyway, yet I digress. So let's talk about this form, anata. Where are we? Anata, anata. This is from the third hey, right? So remember, we've talked about how in many of these cases, if you have a third hey here and you try to put an ending on like right? This makes sense. You get a vowel reduction. That's fine to close the syllable. To reduce that long vowel in the protonic, so that's fine. However, this hey won't support that ending, right? And we remember why. I mean, look at this huge gap right here. I mean, how's that going to hold anything, right? It's just going to collapse. If you try to hang something on the end of it, it's just going to collapse. So what they do is they fill in the gap. Oh, come on, Josh. I know I keep saying this is so hard to do. They fill in that gap to strengthen it up, and then to make sure, because all this weight out here is pretty heavy, right? And it's pulling down this way. So what they do is they put a little foot just to make sure that it has good support, right? So the hey, goes to a tav. Okay, so you get on the ta. Where is it? There it is. Notice look how strong that looks, right? Little foot there. It's supported now completely. Let's close the gap. I mean, it makes sense why that third hey would be changed to a tav, just so that it's strong to hold that suffix. Okay. And however, the large woman answered, cow perfect, third feminine singular from ana. So this lo to him, we wouldn't translate it like that, answered to him. We would just say answered him. But here, li l'chalach lo la, you can see how often this, gets used. She answered him, probably just marking the object here. But anyway, answered him. Sur mi beiti na'ar. Sur. I don't know if you guys, if you've been walking after, like on a really humid day, maybe after it's sprinkled a little bit, just a little bit of rain, and you're walking down the street, if you're in the city in particular, and you come up to a sewer grate, right? And you're like, oh, wow, that is so bad. I come up to this sewer and I turn away. I turn aside. Because when you come up to a sewer, you turn aside, right? You turn aside. So sewer means to turn aside or to turn away. So this verb, samach vav, samach vav resh, lasur, to turn aside, to turn away, right? Because when you come up to a sewer, you turn away. Just because of the smell, right? Sewer, turn away. Okay. Which is where this comes from. So sur mibeti, so turn aside, like go away, turn away. Mibeti. So let's talk about this form. The word bait is house. We remember that with this particular, they call it a diphthong, this aye sound. If you have aye and it loses the accent, if the accent shifts off of that syllable, this aye will change to a. Aye goes to a. It contracts, they say. So when you add the e ending on, and again, now it's so clear. Li, l'chalach lola, li. So e ending my to me, ani, right? Sorry, I'm trying to think of. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Anyway, so that ending there. So the e ending. So my house, and literally this is like the house of me. We'll see this when we get to the construct form. But so my house, and then so that explains that form. This is trying to add min to this word, and we all know what happens when you add min to the front of a word directly. This nun curls up into a tiny little ball and goes in as a dagesh, right? So if you were to look here, you guys never get tired of this, right? If we had a magnifying glass and you looked really closely, you would see a tiny little nun curled up in there, right? That's what you would see. Anyhow, so mibeti. So this is where this form comes from my house. Okay. So sur mibeti, sur, turn away from the sewer. Sur mibeti. So this is an imperative form. So sur, suri, sur, because it'd be soru and sorena maybe. But anyway, sur, turn aside, count imperative, masculine singular from samech vav resh, sur, mibeti, turn aside from my house, na'ar. Na'ar is like a lad, young man, lad. That's one that we use all the time. Ishi gadol mimeni. Yeah, he is. Okay, what does this mean? So ish, we all know, is a man, can also be like husband. But now we know these object suffixes. Ishi is my husband, right? Ani, li, ishi, beiti. My husband, gadol. Now this one we need to pay attention to, right? Because we know that there are a couple different ways that this adjective construction can play out. If you had ish gadol, this could be, notice there are no definite articles on either, no definite articles on either of these forms. So it's a man and a big one, right? So this could be a big man, something, or it could be a man is big, right? If this were ha'ish, hagadol, we could say the big man, right? That's what we would say. We'd have to say the big man. However, what we have here, we don't have a ha. What we have is this E ending. And what did we learn at the very end? The three ways that we can tell if a word is definite or that a word is marked as definite, like the or, a particular is it has the word the in front of it, the hey path like doubling dot. It's a proper noun like David or Moses, or it has an object suffix because that's saying my husband or your husband. We're talking about a particular husband. So here is she definite or indefinite? Right, as Dora would say. Do you see a definite noun? Great. So my husband, this is definite. Gadol, right? So this is indefinite. There is no hagadol. So we would say, my husband is big. This gadol has to be a predicate adjective. My husband is big. Mimeni. So yeah. Mimeni. So we learned these. This is the form of min plus e. So like li is to me, min plus e would be from me, and this is how they write it. Don't worry about the rationale behind it. I don't think it's important enough to to go into. Just some of these, you just kind of get used to seeing many, but you can see the e and then the mem for the min up front. Many. So from me, and this is that comparative use of min. So remember we talked about, and I'll go to green. You had some trees, right? And then you had a really big tree. You would say this tree is big from, right? Away from, bigger than these trees. So it's going away from them because it's bigger. It's bigger than them. And so this is a comparative min. So what this is saying is my husband is big, literally, like woodenly, from me. My husband is bigger than me. He's big from me, right? He's bigger than me. Just like this tree is big from them, right? Okay, anyway. You probably got it, and I'm just beating a dead horse. So, 𝀭Support Goliath. It's a nice fun name there. Goliath, Goliath. So 𝀭Support, shame is name. If I wanted to say his name, li, lecha, lach, lo, I would put o on the end. Of course, that would mean that I'd have to take away the mem, so feet. And now I would reduce this tsere, shemo, and there it is, shemo, his name. And now if I wanted to say and, which is, oops, why I can't write normally. You normally add the to this. However, we have a vocal shava up front. And if you recall, when you put vav in front of a vocal shava, it's 𝀭Support. What's the other time that you get in front of instead of the for the word and? Well, if you're driving along and there's a bump in the road, before a bump, there's a shore wreck. Before a bait, mem, or pay, you get a shore wreck. Before a bump, there's a shore wreck. Okay, anyway. And his name is Goliath. V'hu ohev me'od le'echol ne'arim. Yeah. Okay. V'hu, so ani, ata, at, hu, third masculine singular. Me is who is he is she. And he, ohev, so this is that cal active participle from aleph, hey, vav. Ahav is to love. So he loves me'od, and this is like very much, exceedingly. He loves exceedingly. He loves very, very much, or very much. Le'echol. So this is, if you remember, if you know that root, achal is like to eat something, can be to consume something. If you see a lamed before a verbal root, or what appears to be a verbal root, you might want to think this is an infinitive construct because la means to. So, and this is the form that we get. Echol is the cal infinitive construct form for aleph, kaf, lamed, and then you get this sort of echo back. Le'echol, le'echol. Yeah, nothing really else to say there. So, and he loves very much to eat ne'arim. Na'ar even though it doesn't have segols, it has pathx. This is nonetheless a segolet. So when you make this a plural, you get that Shiva comets pattern. So melech, melachim, derech, derachim. What else? Eved, evadim, and so on. Na'ar, ne'arim. And he loves very much to eat, like lads. Im, oh, sorry, let me scroll down. Im hu yir'e otcha beveitenu, hu yochal otcha. So this is nice. We're getting a lot of practice here from what we did in our lesson. And I think I'm probably going to have to end after this, but it's good. It's the end of a paragraph. We didn't do a whole lot of reading. That's not too much. I'm sorry. Okay. So im is if. Just so you know, when you see, if you go to like Exodus and you see those if-then laws, like up in chapter 21, they will often start with the word ki. So ki, blah, 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 as if, and be rendered if. And then, so like, what's a good one? If an ox gores a man, no, it's not a good two. If it's like the main clause. So if a male servant serves you, he will do so for 6 years, and then you'll set him free. If under that same law, or clause, not clause, but under that same law, there's like a sub clause, like if it's a slightly different circumstance, but under the same law, they will use in the, not always, but often, im. So if a man serves for 6 years and goes on the 7th, if that man or that servant says, "I love my master," right? Like im is like the sub if in these laws. Anyway, just sort of an interesting thing to try to remember im. So if he, who, me is who is he is she. If he yir'eh, so the paradigm for Resh Aleph Hey in the cow is er'eh, tir'eh, tir'i, yir'eh, yir'eh. If, so this is a cow imperfect, third masculine singular from Resh Aleph Hey. If he will see, if he sees, we would just say otcha. Remember, if we have eight as the definite direct object marker and we want to add cha, you, second masculine singular, you get this new form, sort of. It looks with the consonants the same, right? But instead of eight, it's ot, cha, otcha. So oti, otcha, otach, oto, ota, otanu, etchem, etchen, otam, otan. So otcha. But this is just you. If he sees you as the direct object. Beveitenu. So again, bite. When it loses the accent, goes to bait because you get anu. Oops, yeah. Our house, anu. So the new, you see the new ending. Oops. Sorry. Put an extra U in there. I didn't want to do that. So the new ending, anachnu, anu. So beitenu, and the accents there. And then now this is interesting to note. Notice that the form is adding b. And so what it looks like b'veitenu. Well, you might ask, wait a minute, this is our house. How come it's not? So it's a definite, right? Because it's got the object suffix. How come it's not babeitenu? And the reason is you can't have two different ways of making this definite. They don't do that. They don't put the hapathic doubling dot and an object suffix. Like generally speaking, there might be some circumstance where something like that happens, but as a rule, b'veitenu, they're just going to add, they're not going to make that definite up front and definite at the end. It just gets marked as definite one way. So you just get the regular preposition added, b'veitenu. So if he sees you in our house, he, who, yochal, ochal, oops, damn it. Yeah. Ochal. Come on, Josh. Damn it. Sorry. Tochal. Tochli. Yochal. So this is from Aleph Kaf Lamed, to eat. Sakal, imperfect. Third masculine singular from Aleph Kaf Lamed. He will eat. And you don't need the who here, because this has, you don't need to write he will eat. You don't need to. So it's being emphatic here. He will eat. Otcha, you. So same thing here. Otcha, he will eat you. So, not a good situation for our friend, what's his name? Jacob. Our friend Jacob to be in. He's in this house. He wants some bread. And she says, "Duh, get out of here. Sur, turn aside from the sur. Get out of here, turn aside. Because if my husband comes and you're here, no good." Okay. So that we will pick up not next Sunday, but the Sunday after. And we will continue on next week with First Kings. I want to get at least through the first chapter of First Kings, and then we can move on to something else. I think. I'm not entirely sure that I'll do that, but I feel like that's what Megan told me I should do. So I'm just kidding, half kidding. So anyway, thank you guys so much for being here and for participating. And if you have questions, please put them in the comment section. I'll try to answer them. And if you're watching, please give this a like, share it out to your friends, or anybody else that you think might want to learn biblical Hebrew. Okay. Until next time, everyone, resist poor scholarship. Always ask, how do you know that?